Hey everybody, how's it going? Daniel here. Today we are taking a look at the new Microsoft Surface laptop. Now this is the 13.8 inch. It actually retails starting at $1,000. Now if you're a student, you can get the education discount, get that a little bit cheaper. I got a little bit cheaper than even that because I traded in my old Surface laptop. They kind of had like a bounty program going on where I got a little bit of a better price for that old one. Here we have the box. We're gonna go ahead and get into this and talk a little bit more about why, if you need a laptop, I would actually highly recommend specifically a Surface laptop. While I do overall like Windows laptops, I do have a thing for Surface laptops, partly because of the really clean design. Now here is the laptop in all its glory. This is the platinum color. It does come in a new blue color, but I saw that color and I thought, the sheen could go either way, and I kind of like putting stickers on my laptop. The last laptop I had was full of really cool stickers and I really liked that. I had to remove them all to trade it in, but the good thing is if you have a heat gun, you put a little bit of heat on that and all the stickers will come right off. And so yeah, I got the silver again so I could put any color stickers on it or any case or anything that I want on it without it clashing with something like that blue color. You can also get this in a 15-inch, and this has the Snapdragon X Plus processor in it, just the base one. I think that's going to be plenty for just a laptop to have around the house. Now, I've always been a big proponent, if you use macOS as your main system, you need to have a Windows machine laying around somewhere, because eventually you're going to run into a program or something that you need that you can only run on Windows, and Parallels or anything like that or Boot Camp isn't going to quite do it. I ran into it a couple of times. I was trying to update some of my cameras. Nothing on Mac would work. When finally I pulled out my Surface laptop and that worked perfectly fine, I was able to update my cameras. Same thing with some Canon film styles for this camera that I have right here. I was trying to load some film styles onto this and the Mac would just not work. So I pulled out the Surface laptop and that worked just fine. I also kind of use my Surface for ROM emulation and stuff like that, just a place to safe keep all that. I don't know, I use it as kind of my actual laptop. Like if I want to sit down and actually use a laptop, I tend to gravitate towards a Windows laptop, and that might be because my macOS or my MacBook has kind of mainly been my desktop for most of the time. I just plug it into the monitor, and as a laptop, I actually don't really like and have never really liked the MacBook Pro ergonomics nor the recent MacBook Air ergonomics. I think they're a little bit too serious looking, a little harsh on the edges. Apple has been kind of hating doing soft rounded edges. This new one here, the Surface laptop, does feel nice and smooth on the edges. I also loved on the previous one that it had Alcantara on the top. It now is just only aluminum, which kind of sucks. That's one of the reasons I was considering getting the new Surface instead, but that new keyboard was like $400 and it got just too expensive, and I was like, it's not a great laptop. It's not a not a great laptop and not a great tablet. It's kind of like a mix of both bad versions of each. So I stayed away from the Surface and just went for the laptop here. And my goodness, look at that color combo of that platinum with those gray keys and then the white lettering on there. I think that looks really, really nice. The trackpad, all glass right there. It's haptic, so you can even tap on here at the top. That is nice to see finally here. It feels exactly like a MacBook laptop. Feels really, really good. The feeling of it actually feels a little bit nicer than my MacBook's trackpad. I really like that. But yeah, as far as heft, it's not the lightest laptop around. It feels quite heavy. And as far as ports, here we have just that Surface charger that's been around for a couple years now. We have a USB port and two USB-Cs, as well as a microphone headphone jack here. One of the weird things is that no micro SD card, no SD card. Would have been nice to see on this. I think it would have helped a lot, especially if you're a content creator, you like to edit photos on the go or anything like that. This thing is still kind of booting up here. Now real quick, what else is in the box? Not much, just some instruction booklet here, and then that little charger, which is magnetic, which is nice if you like to do that. But since I have so many USB-C cables, I tend to just gravitate towards those and charge them with that. One of the things that I like about the Surface laptop is that, at least the last one I had, and this one should work as well, is that they just work perfectly with Thunderbolt, or at least with my studio display that I have for my MacBook. So whenever I want a Windows machine, I can just connect that right up and it's good to go. The last machine that I had like a Ryzen 5 8 gigs of RAM, not much. It was not the fastest thing around. It was just slow, but it did the job, and it was good for what I needed it to do as not a main workhorse computer. However, this one with the new Snapdragon, I am curious. Battery life is supposed to be as good as a MacBook Air. Performance around that same, if not better. The trackpad, let me tell you, actually feels fantastic. It has a really nice click. Might even say it's actually has a better click than the MacBook Pro that I have, and I have the one from M1 MacBook Pro, so a couple years ago now. Haven't seen any reason to really update it or anything. The rounded edges here on the screen corners are absolutely stunning. They look really nice and pleasing to the eye. I actually really like that. I do wish it had a little bit less of a bottom bezel and a top bezel, and it would make the screen look more full, but it's pretty good. Now you can see there on the keyboard there is a new Copilot button right there, and that's basically for your AI assistant to get it to ask questions, and I'm guessing you can just type instead of talking or anything. But you can see the keyboard layout there. Interested to see how this looks backlit. Can we get this to turn on right now? Yeah, I see it right. Oh, that's the max. Okay, so it's not going to be super noticeable here because of the brightness. Let me see if I can turn this light up top off so we can see how bright it is. And there you can see it. Very nice backlit keys. Not sure if you can see it. I believe that is maxed out. I wish it got a little brighter than that. So a few settings there on the button, but bright enough definitely, especially when it's pitch black. It's still quite bright in this room, but you can see not too much kind of backlight bleed here, or the bleeding through the keys. I've had some Windows laptops, especially gaming laptops, that just bleeds right through and it looks so bad. But the keys are very well lit, very nice white color. Hate when there's any blue tint to the backlight keys. Like, oh man, I've just had some Windows laptops that are just too bad. That's kind of why I like to stick with Surface. Now, if you're curious how this silver looks compared to the MacBook Pro silver, I currently am using the MacBook Pro to record all this, but I'll try to have a little clip here showing you the two colors just so you can see. The shines are definitely a little bit different. The aluminum feeling is definitely a little bit different. So it doesn't feel exactly the same, but that's not a bad thing. I actually quite like the differences between the two. I like that they didn't go with black keycaps for this. It makes it look different than a MacBook. I think that was probably done on purpose, or else it would have looked a little bit too much like a MacBook. But overall, the ergonomics feel really nice. Very MacBook Air coded, but old MacBook Air, and that's something I really like. We have that really nice kind of wedge on the side where it's tapered towards the bottom. Smooth edges. These are not going to dig into your palms like the MacBook Pro. And I haven't used a MacBook Air Extended, but I think they're the exact same as a MacBook Pro. Like, they are jaggedy. So this is going to feel nice when you're typing. Size wise, it just does feel nice. It doesn't feel too heavy or anything. I do feel it a little bit warm at the bottom, nothing crazy, but of course it is booting up and installing everything now, so this is probably going to be the hottest I'm going to see it in a while, since I'm never going to run anything too crazy on it. Now, I was really curious how games would run on this, particularly some more heavier, intensive games like Overwatch 2. And Overwatch 2 is a game that will run almost on a potato. It's a really well optimized game, so I thought maybe we would get something good here. I played it on medium settings, capped it at 60 frames per second, and practice range was good actually. I had no issues playing in practice range and testing things out there. But once I actually got into an online match, we had a lot of dropped frames. Things would dip as low as 30 to even 20 frames per second at some times. And I'm sure if you're really good and you care about tweaking settings and really changing everything, we might get something that's a little bit more playable. I think if things were better optimized for these new chipsets, we might also get some better frame rates as well. So while this is capable of some gaming in those kind of, bigger budget games, it's not really something I would buy this computer for. But know that if you want to do some light gaming with some older games or some emulation, this is totally capable, and it's not going to run too hot and the fans aren't going to be too crazy when you're doing so. I also tried out Multiversus, where I kind of basically had the same experience, possibly even a little bit worse. This game has just had a lot of bugs since release earlier this month or last month, so I wasn't too impressed here. It was basically unplayable. I was just basically destroying the dynamic in the team and lost us the whole game. But they're just so you can kind of get an idea of, you know, how a game like this might run on this laptop. Lastly, we have Counter-Strike 2, which actually surprisingly did not too terrible. The graphics were actually pretty good. You can see it there. Everything was just kind of standard. I didn't really change anything on this game. It's not a game that I play. I actually don't really like it, but I just thought, you know, let's go ahead and see how it runs. Now, given that it has no controller support, I was using the trackpad, and that obviously is quite a disadvantage. But still, you can kind of see there that I am kind of, you know, getting to kind of play the game, not perfectly, but it's like almost there. It's almost capable of doing these things. So there's some hope that with some optimizations, some updates, maybe these things get better. But just know, don't get this machine for any AAA gaming or anything like that. It's not going to pull some magic. Overall, this is still a ultra portable, ultra light laptop, and not really a gaming machine by any means. One of the interesting things I think is that debate between, do you get a Surface laptop or do you get a Surface? And I do believe you should just get the Surface laptop in this scenario. It has more battery life. You won't have to worry about disconnecting or connecting the keyboard. I don't think there's too much of a good reason to get the Surface as far as using it off of the keyboard and using it as a tablet. I think that's a pretty bad experience. I think it is cool that you can remove the keyboard and maybe on a plane or something, just place it and have that extra space to play video games or watch a movie, and you don't have the keyboard in the way and stuff, so you can put a drink or something. In that scenario, it's kind of why I wanted the Surface. Ultimately, just said, you know, I like the Surface Laptop 4. Let's keep it going and get the new laptop. Keep that battery. I like the combo of the keyboard, the colors, and everything was just really doing it for me when I was looking at it online. And so personally, I say it's not worth the extra money to get the Surface, because plus the keyboard. And right now, if you get the keyboard, it's the old keyboard that's cheap. The new keyboard's like $400 extra. So just to get this same device with the same functionality, as in as good of a trackpad, almost as good of a trackpad, almost as good of a keyboard, you're paying $400 more. Ooh, I was like, I'm good. Now, there is the debate that the Surface does have a back camera. So if you're a student or anything like that and you want to record the lectures or take pictures of documents and stuff like that, that might be a good reason to get the Surface. However, for a tablet, I do still think that the iPad is basically the best tablet you can get, with Samsung's being quite close to it. But Microsoft in the tablet department, just the Windows OS is just not very touch friendly. I do like that we have the touchscreen here. From time to time, I will sit back on the bed and like I'll grab the laptop like this and I'll scroll through a web page or a document instead of letting go of my hand. And that is nice that just from time to time you have that option to tap on things. But Windows is just not there for an actual tablet. So the value prop precision for me on a Surface isn't there. Wouldn't personally recommend it. I would just get this and then get a small tablet or an older tablet, I guess, for like $400, and then there it is. Now you have both devices and you could even travel with both because they're both very thin. I also think that the new iPads with the new keyboards, while they were really good, we still run into the issue that it never does feel like a full computer. iPadOS is ultimately still limited, as great as I think it is, and some people can make it work. There's something to be said as in having an actual legacy computer with an OS that dates back a while, that works with a lot of programs, works with a lot of random things, and you can get a lot of things to run on it. And I think that's very important to have in the home. So if you just want one device, I highly recommend just this as the laptop, and eventually, you know, you can get a monitor and connect that to it, and maybe you can add a tablet as a secondary device. But this is just a really fantastic device to have. And I know I have not used this device, but I used the Surface Laptop for a very low spec configuration. I think that might have been like bottom of the barrel configuration, because I got it on sale at Best Buy for like $500-$600. It was a really good price at the time, and I used it a lot. It came in handy a lot of times. I enjoyed typing on it more than I did on the MacBook, And so I'm only going to like this one even more because it's going to be snappier. The screen is brighter than that one. I believe this is like 500 nits or so. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be plenty bright and definitely brighter than the one I had before, because that one on max, it was just like a tinge too dark for a lot of situations. Here I'm in a fully lit environment and the screen is very nice to see and very easy to see actually. Now we are almost done here with the setup. So if you get this laptop, you can expect the setup to take about 20 minutes or so with the downloads and everything, which not the worst thing. It sucks that you always have to do so many updates and downloads, but at least, you know, after this, it's ready to go. And there shouldn't be too many drivers or things to install on this guy. I am really excited to use it. Of course, we do have a camera at the top here for Windows Hello, so you can basically face scan your face to log into it, and I use that all the time. Every single time that I would open my Surface laptop, pop it open, it's in. It's basically really good at always catching your face, even at the weirdest angles, even if the lighting's not great. I really do like that. Way better than a fingerprint reader, I think, in my opinion. Now it does say to keep the device plugged in. I guess I could have been doing that with the charger, but let me just go ahead and plug this USB-C in there so that it gets some trickle charge. What I really like is that I wasn't expecting this trackpad to actually be as nice feeling as it was. It's really a nice feeling. That duotone color with the keyboard also and the platinum just looks very soft on the eyes. Very, it's not harsh, I guess, even though the MacBook color combo is also stunning with the silver and the black. I definitely wouldn't recommend the black color on this laptop. Microsoft has a history of these black devices just being fingerprint magnets. They look cool for one day and then they never look cool again. If you care about fingerprints, platinum is just fantastic. Honestly, I don't think there was ever one day after using the Surface for like, what, 3 years, that it ever had a bunch of fingerprints or anything on it anywhere that I had to wipe or anything, which is really nice. All right, so the device is taking a little bit longer than I was expecting, so I pulled out here the charging cable so we can take a look at it and see if it's different than the older Surface devices. It does not look like it. Definitely less scratched than the one that I turned in. It looks like this is a 39-watt charger, which I guess is sufficient enough to power this. I wonder if it's enough to power it at full, you know, actual spec, but I guess that has to do with the efficiency of Snapdragon. I'm not even sure what I had on my Surface laptop for, but if you can compare it to your current one, this one is 39 watts. This connector here looks completely the same, unchanged. It works well and I like it, but I've never been a fan of how little this little prong is, but the magnet does work well enough. It stays on there. I think it comes out a little bit easier than the one with the MacBooks. Regardless, magnet stays on there really well. I do like how slim it is, and then it goes down the side of a computer, so you can stay, you know, use your mouse and you won't really bump into this or anything since it's not actually sticking out. I do like that. I think it looks a lot more clean on a desk or anything if you kind of have that cable like that just on the side running around, and you can see how nice that looks. It doesn't even look like there's a cable. I mean, compare those two. The MacBook one kind of looks more like that, and this is just very slim and nice. So I do like the connector. It just feels a little bit cheapy since it's just, I think this is just all plastic build. A little bit of aluminum here wouldn't hurt, and if it was color matched to the laptop, that wouldn't hurt either, even though the black does look fine. But since we have gray and silver, I think it would have been nice for that to be silver or gray even instead of just black, since that's a little bit boring, but it's fine. This isn't really, you know, a $2,000, $3,000 laptop. It is a base model and meant to be kind of an intro laptop of sorts. All right, so the laptop actually took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna do to update and do everything. So, oh man, I was gonna show the Windows Hello setup and it did it while I wasn't looking at the screen. Okay, well, you know, you just register your face like any face setup and then it works, I guess. And yeah, dang. And then you do a PIN as a backup, and you do sign in with a Microsoft account as well. But yeah, I've been filming already for like 30 minutes. So, you know, when you get your laptop, know that you're not going to be using it right away. It's taking as long as the usual Microsoft laptop setup does take. Whatever, it's all just well. And here we are, not on max brightness. Look at that. Look how bright that goes, actually. Wow, that's pretty good. Let me show you here. Like, we're in a fully lit room, and that is plenty bright. Like, I'm completely lit up here by the lights, and the screen feels a little bit too bright, where I would notch it down to maybe there to not feel like I'm like destroying my eyes. And here I can just restore my backup from my previous laptop without any issue. So it's going to do that, and then I'm back on Windows. But yeah, trackpad feels great so far. Keyboard feels great. You really don't need a lot of time with these things to realize if you like it or not. Like, honestly, sometimes I'm like a laptop that I'm just interested in, I'll go check it out at Best Buy, use it for 5 minutes and be like, nope, that's a bad keyboard, that's a bad trackpad, don't like this, don't like that. This feels good, feels like a Surface device. Another step forward in Microsoft refining their devices. It feels really, really nice. Dig the color. I do like Windows 11. I think it works really well. I've really never had any crazy issues with it, and I really like it. Not going to be using this for gaming or anything like that. I might have a few games on there just between you and me to pull up from time to time, but for the most part, I use my Steam Deck for gaming, and I just really like that. I also never made a video on that, but that's one of my favorite devices. The best things I've purchased in the past couple of years have been like the Quest 2 and Quest 3, and then the Steam Deck. I've tried the ROG Ally, I've tried the Legion Go. There's so many things that I actually do test out and I don't make videos on because I genuinely actually like tech and I actually like experiencing these things, and sometimes I'm actually just so fed up with a product that I have like no energy or want to just make a whole video crapping on a product that I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate from online from the fans and stuff. And so it's tough sometimes, because how do you draw the line between like looking like you're making a video of a product and saying you don't like it for the sake of being contrarian? And it's sometimes tough because sometimes these companies have enough budget or enough leeway where like they're gonna get good reviews from everyone, and you go out and make a bad video talking bad about it, and it just looks like you want to do it for the views. It's a double-edged sword, really. It's tough, so I just kind of abstain from sharing my opinions on a lot of things. Here you select your experience. If you've ever done Windows, this is just as simple as it is, really. I hate when the trackpad is backwards. It should fix it once it puts all my stuff on it. You can use your phone from your PC also. I always skip this. OneDrive. I think Microsoft definitely has to simplify this a little bit. It's a little long for sure. Longer than a macOS setup, 100%. And we're finally in. Here it is. This is it right there. Look at that. This is not a review. This is not a review. It's nothing really aside from just me talking a little bit about the laptop, talking a little bit about the Surface laptop. Haven't made a video in a while, so getting back into it, seeing I've changed my whole setup and everything, and so seeing also if this all is working as intended. Just as a quick test, well, we got a little bubble, something's loading there. I wanted to just kind of open up a couple of apps. Ooh, that was nice and that was snappy. Did you see that? I don't know if you can even see that, but that was very, very snappy. That opened up real quick. Let's see, Chrome. Hasn't downloaded yet, so we'd have to download it. All these apps, I think I have to go in and make sure they're downloaded again. But wow, that was quick. Let's see real quick if I open up Paint, how quick that opens up. Wow. Okay. There you go. That's the touch screen right there. Very responsive and very nice. So I'm excited for this. Maybe I'll make a review on it. I am curious how well the Snapdragon Plus processor works. What is it? X Plus? Yeah, 10 core processor works. And put it through its paces a little bit. Maybe I'm wondering if you can run Overwatch and stuff like that on this. I'm not sure if you can. That might be a little bit too much for this, but maybe it's not. I am curious. I will check it out. Now, I've had this laptop for well over 24 hours now, and I wanted to do a little update to talk to you a little bit about battery life, which is kind of one of the most important things that I kind of wanted from this laptop, because my old laptop 5 just did not last very long. And I am happy to report that if what you want is a laptop that is going to last just kind of all day, almost all day at least, in using very light tasks, so web browsing, note taking, documents, things like that, then this is definitely going to do the job. You can see that I'm at 28% now, and this is with watching a 1-hour TV show on max brightness for most of the time on that. Then I turned down the brightness because it was just unnecessarily bright, and I did notice that it was losing significantly more battery life. So if you turn this up to max brightness, the difference is quite a bit, like 70 to max. I think there is a noticeable drop in battery life. But for the most part, I ended up keeping it around 70%, sometimes going lower, sometimes going higher. I would say that was the average over the course of this first full cycle that I'm going through. And so overall, pretty good stats. I didn't feel like the battery was just running away from me like I do on a lot of Windows laptops, where like you start just kind of using it and you're now suddenly at 50%. Like, no, this felt very stable. Very Mac-like in that sense, which is really nice. Now, I did keep the power mode the whole time on recommended, but of course you can do better performance or best performance, and you also have energy saver. Now, I'm pretty sure you could even get more battery life if you keep it like nice and very low, probably under 50% of screen brightness. That's definitely something that's going to help you probably actually a lot. But it's nice that we have the ability to go to that max screen brightness if you're outdoors or anything like that. And the good thing is that the laptop itself, the fans never kicked on, or at least I didn't hear them or anything like that, nor did it ever get warm to the touch or anything when actually using this on your lap or anything like that. So a bunch of tabs open, downloading programs, using some of the apps on the Affinity suite, all that. Really had no issues with it. It was working as I was hoping it would work. So of course, no, if you open up a game and you try to test that, that is going to get the fans going, like I did at some point in the video here. I showed some games and the fans were running at an audible speed if you mute the sound, and it did get quite hot up here. Really only that part. None of the letters or anything were uncomfortably hot, but really up here it was really, really hot, especially the left side of the laptop. So that's worth noting. But overall, good to go on the battery life. I think I could definitely recommend it as something that you can kind of trust and use for school or work. And I wanted to do a little kind of just quick pros and cons thing that I noticed already with the laptop. The main con that I noticed is the fact that the screen is indeed quite reflective. So oftentimes you'll see yourself, especially at the lower brightness, you'll see that it just reflects quite a bit of your room or environment, etc. I really do wish Microsoft would have put a slightly better coating on this or a slightly better screen. And honestly, to the point where I would actually prefer to maybe have no touch screen and have a screen that is a little bit less reflective than this. But something worth noting, if that bothers you, this is definitely on that high end of reflection for laptops. But honestly, it looks really nice still, and not something that I mind enough, to change it or return it or anything like that for a different laptop. Another weird thing that I noticed when I opened it at some point, I kind of grabbed it like this and I put my finger underneath on this left side, and this thing will just pinch your fingers if you open it and you're holding it from there. I don't know why I did that, but I guess I've done that on other laptops and this has not happened. Worth noting, if you put your finger in there and you open this thing, you are going to pinch yourself. Other than that, for the most part, I mean, this is a great little laptop. I've enjoyed the past 24 hours with it. It's exactly that laptop that I wanted to replace my old Surface Laptop 5. It's slim, lightweight, portable. The keyboard feels really good. The touchpad has felt really good. The ergonomics feel really, really nice and soft. It's nice to use on the lap, on the bed, on a dinner table. The footprint is nice and small. And overall, a big fan of this, and I'm looking forward to all the new Windows laptops that are going to be releasing with these new Snapdragon chips because honestly, I'm really digging this laptop. For laptop work, for internet work, I think a great little device. And I like the way Microsoft's going. I like that Snapdragon, Microsoft, and all these companies are kind of pushing back to Apple, get some competition back in the market, and get some cool, new, fast, efficient, with good battery life products out there in the market that, make it more of our money's worth. So if you're looking for a laptop right now, make sure that you're focused on looking at the laptops with the new Snapdragon processors or the new things that are coming out, because it's kind of a new generation that's coming in. That old generation, that's going to be seen as slow, inefficient, a lot of heat, bad battery life, etc. So you're going to see a lot of deals on gaming laptops and stuff. And if you're fine with all those negatives, then go for it. But if you're looking for a laptop that's going to last the next 5 years, look into these laptops. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.